What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Farls here with your top defensive questions that I've been seeing online for College Football 25. So let's jump into it. What is fact? What is fiction? What are myths? Should you do certain things or should you not do certain things? First question, should I play man or zone? And most people, probably feel more comfortable in zone. You got more stuff going on the field. It looks a little bit better. You're a little bit less on the hook for certain routes. We talked about how you can cover kind of the backside of certain plays and still kind of cover different route combinations and things like that. That is one thing that I do think a new player would have success with. But to be honest, I really do think more players should just play man and play man almost consistently as a scheme. Now, you got to make sure your team can do it a little bit, but if you play somebody and they're not able to beat man-to-man coverage, especially two-man under, it's going to make a game super, super difficult for them. So I do actually recommend coming out in two-man under, playing as the linebacker manned up on the halfback, keeping everything kind of in the box here. You will give up some running yards early, but that's totally fine. And from here, you'll just have to look out for halfback screens, and you'll find out if they can beat man coverage. And if they can't, it's going to be a really, really long game for them. So I usually start in zone and then I go to man, but for the way I want to play this game and play it to keep the bend but don't break style going, and with a lot of new players playing this game, I feel like man coverage, you're not going to get beat over the top. You're not going to give it the big play with this. They're going to need certain routes and combos that are going to beat the coverages. And if they don't have those things, you're going to be in luck. And then you maybe have a free man if they're pass protecting with their halfback, and if they're not, you just can cover it. And if you hold down L1, it'll help you out, and you'll be able to follow that defender. So you'll be able to follow as the defender. So I would definitely say let's start playing a little bit more man early. I know it's a little bit scarier, but let's do that. Second question I've been seeing a little bit is, should I user my linebacker? Should I user a safety? Should I use switch stick? Should I rush as a defensive lineman? Well, number one thing, you should not rush as a defensive lineman. You really should not. Possibly on like a one play at the end of a half and just like loop to keep the quarterback in the pocket, but you should almost never be on a defensive lineman as a rusher, in my opinion. This is day one stuff. You probably already know this if you're watching the channel, but you need to at least use a linebacker. Now, the switch stick, do I need to do this? Is it a game changer for me, for you? Probably not. Probably not, because you need to learn how to use her first, drop off of routes. Once you see this route's, not going here, you drop here, come across there. You need to get into that game. You don't need to be thinking about, like, how can I switch to another player on the defense? It's a completely different muscle in your brain, and I think it's going to be pretty difficult. So I don't recommend the switch stick yet. There will be a time. That's called advanced tips video. This is not. This is what defensive things should I do. So we talked about man defense. We went over the switch stick. We talked about using your linebacker. Now, people want to know about play calls at the menu. In our last video, we talked about coach adjustments and some of the ones that we like to use. We talked about conservative, aggressive. We talked about our flats, potentially going to 0 for those, or even 5. We talked about curl flats being about 20, possibly as much as 25, if people are hitting those deep corners and crossers. And we talked about hooks right at about 10, but possibly going down to 5 if they're just dinking and dunking you over the middle. So we talked about switching those up, using those in the middle of the game. Now, if you push R2, you can actually turn your defense off from flipping the play. It'll automatically flip the play. Now, this has been in Madden for a while. Usually turn it off in Madden because I like to set my defense up the same way all the time. But in college, with the way the splits are and the way that the wide field is so open, if you're a newer player, it's pretty useful that they do switch sides for you. You just have to keep an eye that if you call the play at the screen and you're expecting a guy to blitz or you're expecting something else to happen, you got to make sure that they're not on the other side of the field and then you're grabbing the wrong guy. Like, you think you're using the guy in the halfback, but the play's flipped automatically, and then when you're out at the huddle, you got the wrong guy. You get the guy in the tight end, and you get beat. So I do recommend keeping it on. We'll turn it off here. If you like to send a lot of blitzes and set things up, it can be kind of useful to turn it off because then you know where your guys are at all the times. Another question I got sent was about using shells. So should I disguise my coverages? In general, yeah, you should figure out in the future how to disguise your coverages, but, you know, unless you're really in a chess match, right, you're just trying to come out in one thing and feel good. You know, so let's say, as an example, we want to come out and cover 4 drop, but we want it to look like cover 0. We can switch our shell on the bottom using the right stick to cover 0, and then we can come out into play. And you see now we have a cover 4 look. Now, they also switched it up. So this used to be show blitz on the left stick. Now it's show 2. So now you can show cover 2. They move up. And you can also go and show cover 3. And you can either back off or... so now we're in cover 3 shell, but we have cover 4 on the field behind it at the snap. So yes, but not the first thing you need to learn. Absolutely not. So don't over worry about using shells. Shells, also depending on formations and the wide side of the field and what you call versus what you're going to, actually show and call. It can get very complex very quick with all the different scenarios. So that's going to be in your advanced video as well. Okay, from there, we talked about coach adjustments. Pre-snap, we'll cover a little bit of other adjustments. So should you run commit? Should you run commit if you think they're going to run the ball? And unless it's like 4th and 1 and they've hurried up to the line and you think the game's on the line and you're willing to risk it, I really don't think you should. I would just recommend getting super, super aggressive with either your deep safety or your linebacker to try and shoot gaps. But pressing R1 and then, right stick down to run commit up the middle, I'm going to say really try not to do that because it's going to lead you to bad habits. And you're probably going to do it when you're getting frustrated if you're a newer player. So try not to do it. It's not for every down defense. Much better is to just spread your D line or, learn how to spread your line left. Spread your linebackers by pressing right on the D-pad and, getting them to the weight of the formation. And then, moving a linebacker over or, spreading out your defensive line or pinching them, different things you can do just to kind of get different weights of formations against the run game. The best deterrent to somebody who's pounding the ball is to make it look like it's not going to work, and that really can come from, bringing guys down in the box or just simply, aligning your fronts better as it goes. So, last but not least, after the ball's thrown, we've got hit sticks and we've got strip tackles, and we also have going for interceptions or picks. So 3 things I like to do in that realm of the field is I go for hit sticks. Should you go for hit sticks? You should not go for hit sticks. Hit stick, you should do that X tackle right there. Hit sticks are risky. They're hard in the open field. I'm not generating a ton of fumbles. I just really think it's fun to hit stick, so that's why I do it. I probably am hit sticking 3 times per play to get 1 tackle. That's not a great ratio. So, I like the bend but don't break. You can break big plays in this, so holding down X to just kind of get in front of the guy, carry, get the tackle, get him down, live to fight another day. We'll watch. We'll back off here. We'll let him throw that short underneath. Let's see if he throws it. Yep, and then we just come up, hold X. There we get the fumble. What are the chances without the hit stick? But that's what I like. As far as strip tackles go, by pressing R1, once again, not getting a ton of fumbles there. For me, now I only do that if my other if I have 2 ball carriers in the area. In the open field, it's too risky because they're probably going to break a lot of tackles. But, get the arm out every now and then. It's something to remember you have if you need it, but I try not to go for it. Should you go for picks or swats? Swats, I'm going to recommend going for interceptions, especially if they're throwing deep. Strafe, left trigger, triangle to get up. Sometimes, you can get clicked on to a guy maybe you're not thinking you're going to get clicked onto, but I do like to much 99% of the time, unless I'm really at a disadvantage, but I do like to go for picks. I think you get them a lot here. So that's something you should obviously be doing more so. Let's see if we can find a way. those are the main questions I'm getting. There's some more advanced stuff like should you contain? Yeah, you probably should contain 60% of the time, especially if it's like if you're not sending pressure. You should contain and just keep them in the pocket. Bad players like to scramble and kind of make crazy plays. So the more you can contain, the more good things can happen, and you're not going to give up. Right, if he can't break out of the pocket here, and you'll be all right. So that's what I think about QB contain. I do tend to do it, especially if I'm playing a mobile quarterback. Got to check the speed, obviously. Okay, anything else that I wanted to touch on? Yes. Should you use the sticks adjustment? I always tend to do this if I'm down in the red zone, or if it's like a different distance where I don't necessarily have it. I'll press triangle, L1. I feel like it's going to help the zone defenders drop to the sticks, find that area. I don't get a ton of third down stops, but I just do it. It's almost like superstitious. Like, I like to do it, and that's something I'm going to keep doing. But I am going to start to play much more man defense, continue with the bend but don't break kind of system. So, to recap what we think. We do not run commit, play more man defense, don't worry about the switch stick, use your linebacker, tone down the hit sticks. Oh, send heat. That was our last piece. So should I blitz? People are like, should I blitz, or should I just kind of, wait and do something else, or what? Depending on which playbook you're in, you should find a play that you can go to where you feel confident. People are gonna feel safer in zone. Blitzing, of course, because man feels very risky. So, if you're really needing to gas it, you can go with, 3-3 double mug mid blitz 0. Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love just 6 against 5? I'm sending more than you can block, and you just keep stacking guys down. You use the guy in the halfback, get everybody down, risk it. Okay, but otherwise, you're gonna try and get cute with some different pressures. We want to try and just find one blitzing linebacker, find 5, practice it against plays where all 5 guys are out on a route, just so you can see what happens if you don't block. So you can spread, you can move your linebackers. Here you see him get to the edge. What you're going to do with one of your defenders kind of dropping into zone here, go stand over here. Just do different things with those linebackers. See if you can get the pressure to loop in, right? You'll need a play. You will need to blitz at certain times. We sent an extra player there, but you will need to blitz. There we spread. Linebackers, you can spread them out. You can maybe send them to the right there. Just try and get them to line up in unique spots. There we're sending 3 guys to the right. They would probably keep a guy to block in here in real life, but hopefully you can get somebody to loop in. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of stock blitzes in the game. From you'll be able to find them. You're never is the best blitz in the world a buck slant 3 or something that has an edge defender coming. Spread your D line. No, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay if you find a play that you can use to bring that pressure. You're gonna want that because the better competition you start to play, the more players, if you're not getting gas home, are gonna pick you apart. So, last thing, if you do find a play like Fox Fire Zone Press, right? What you can do is, okay, you don't want to send all those extra guys, right? So you can call the play, and when you come out, you can either recrash your line, so now that your lineman who was dropping into a zone, which is not super useful, is no longer rushing. And then this guy you don't really want to blitz, right? Because you need somebody to cover the middle of the field. You can't just send. I mean, you could send this, but you can then get up in here with him, and then at the snap, kind of drop and see if you can get back. So just because a play is has a corner and a linebacker blitzing, and not just like a corner or just a if it has 2 linebackers like a crossfire, like you can still just grab a linebacker who is blitzing and not blitz him. You want to stand up and muddy it, but you can if you got guys in there, you can use left on the D-pad and different crash his combos. There we crash them down, but you could crash them up if you would like to, and you can go from there. So some different things you can do. Try those. You do need to find one blitz. You do need to find some pressures, and the only time I will hit stick is right after a catch if I think I can pop the ball loose. So we talked about sending heat. We talked about shells. We talked about coach adjustments. We talked about using the sticks. Should you strip? Should you use auto flip? And then how do you get interceptions? So hopefully those answer some of your more beginner questions about a college game. It's more open. What should you do? There's new tools. Should you use them? You're just getting back into playing. What should you do? So hopefully that's for you. And then we can go over advanced defense some other time. Probably when we get some advanced defense, because we need to find still good heat, and we need to start to add switch stick to our game, because that is going to be the next level of advanced defense. But we can go over run defense another time. We can go over some different pass specific play calls just for you to get comfortable, because players are pretty solid. And I do recommend bend but don't break. I call it ice. Just chill. A lot of man. Show me you can beat man. Show me. And then you got to go from there. And you can live with that. Hopefully this video helps you. We'll talk in the next one. Until then, peace out.